3, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First order of business is pledge allegiance back behind you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any emergency revisions to the agenda?
We have no revisions this evening.
Okay. Move on to approval of minutes from the November 18th executive session.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Finnegan. All those in favor? All right. Motion carries 5-0 with Mr. Finnegan and Mrs. Eckroat.
Mr. Deerdorf.
Mr. Deerdorf, sorry, Mr. Deerdorf and, yeah, you're here, and Mrs. Eckroat, absent. Approval of minutes from November 18th regular session.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Finnegan, second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, approval of minutes from November 24th special session.
So moved. Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And then approval of minutes from the November 24th executive session.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Move on to claims. Take a motion for approval of claims.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Finnegan, second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We can go ahead and move on to programs.
Yeah, this evening, we take the privilege every December to typically head here to the elementary to host a board meeting and always ask our administration to find some students to show off and present what they've been up to. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to them to see what they've been up to here.
That'd be great, thank you. Jeremiah and Forrest. So I want to introduce you to two of our students. This is Jeremiah Snavely and Horace Hovermail. And they have been, I know that last month we had the middle and high schoolers talk about what they were doing in the ag program. And both Horace and Jeremiah have been doing some soils and some entomology. So I asked if they would share a little bit tonight with you about what they've been doing, what they've enjoyed. And so we kind of prepared some questions ahead of time. And then if you have questions that you would like to have answered, I'm sure the boys will be happy to do that for you, right? So we also, Mrs. Hovermail put together some pictures that we'll talk a little bit about as well so that you can see that. So we're gonna kind of just start with soils. And so Jeremiah, do you wanna start and tell us a little bit about what does a soils practice look like?
Soils practice looks like after school, we go over to the ag room and maybe study a little bit of like what it means, like review some things. Then we go out into a truck and drive out into a field and go into a pit and judge various things about the soil type.
Okay, and Horace, tell us a little bit about, like, once you get down into the pit, what do you do when you're down in the pit?
We usually think of what type of soil it is and what texture and what color it is.
Okay, and then Jeremiah, what was one of the things that you learned about soil judging that you didn't know before?
A thing that I learned about soil judging that I had not known was that how many different types and like variations and things you have to take into account when looking at different soil types.
Did you just think it was just a bunch of dirt to start out? And then look, you learned all the different types and how to identify them and everything, didn't you? Okay. So here's some of the pictures. Boys, you want to talk about the pictures or anything?
I can see that some people finding the texture of things with the knives, people maybe filling out the answers and looking at other things while they can see it, like color.
Awesome, thank you. And then Serena, you want to scroll a little bit and we can see some of the other soil pictures that.
Horace, what's Jeremiah doing in that picture right there?
behind the silk. So then next, they did a lot of work with entomology as well. So Horace, what does an entomology contest look like?
You usually go into a big building with bugs laid out on the table.
Okay. And then Jeremiah, how are the insects grouped and what are some of the groups you learned about this year?
Insects are grouped by like their body features and like some of their personalities, like where they live, what they do, and how they like find things to do, like find things to eat.
And then both of you can answer this if you want. Can you tell us something interesting that you learned about one of the insects that you studied this year?
Something interesting that I've learned about, like a particular one.
Whatever, yeah.
Pick your favorite bug.
What's your
Tell
favorite
about.
one?
My favorite one is the assassin bug from Hemiptera. It's cool because it's a gray-black shaped bug with a body that kind of looks like a saw, with a rigid bump on its back.
And Horace, how about you? What is one of the
Like
bugs
the
that
diving beetle because it can get like this big.
so you like the size of it? That was pretty cool. And so let's talk a little bit about the competitions that you did, which by the way, you're going to state in January. So they have made it to state. It was supposed to be this past weekend, right?
It snowed out on Saturday.
And it got snowed out. So we will have an update on that for state as well, but they will be going in January. So who helped both of you study and prepare for these competitions?
So it was Mr. Wildermuth and some of the high schoolers.
Nice.
Same here, and some of my sisters at home and other people working there.
And have you enjoyed going over and having the high schoolers help you?
Yeah.
What have you enjoyed about that?
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out with the high schoolers? And so what did Mr. Wildermuth teach you about filling out the Scantrons?
This is for Horace, I think.
That if you check the Scantron twice, I had got 40 more questions right.
Ah. So attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
You had to pay attention, didn't you? And then out of the competitions that you've done, what have you enjoyed the most about the competitions this year?
Some things I've enjoyed the most was, like, for soils, I get to go outside and miss some school.
Yep. They're honest.
And entomology, I like to go to the different competitions and get to learn new things about different insects.
Okay. Horace, how about you? What have you enjoyed about it?
Soils, I like getting down on the dirt and stuff. And then for entomology, I like moving around and judging the bugs.
Okay. And then let's take a look at some of the pictures that you guys shared too with your entomology judging you were doing.
So one of my favorite things is if you look at some of the pictures, the size difference between the kids, they were by far the smallest there.
And that, I think, is kudos to them. They have studied and worked really hard, and they are the youngest competitors. And you guys actually, your team, outperformed a lot of older teams as well.
What does the junior division go up to?
8th grade, I think.
Mhm.
8th grade? Wow.
Yeah, so they're competing against 8th graders and outperforming them. So I think that, and it's been a lot of fun to watch their success and having our high schoolers kind of be your guys' as mentors too.
Can you tell them who your entomology coaches were?
Heather and
Jamie Carter.
Jamie Carter and Heather Schilling, Purdue Extension.
Awesome. So did you like the bugs or the dirt better?
You stole my question.
Did I?
I like the dirt soils better.
Did you?
I like the bugs better.
So a good team, one of each.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else that you think that they should know about this year, or are you excited to go to state? Do you feel prepared? Why do you feel prepared?
We've been studying the past while,
Mm-hmm.
making sure we get and not make any mistakes with ones we know.
So something I think, can you tell them, this is fun, when they taught me this, how do you remember Coleoptera?
Horse?
The wheels are crunchy.
And what does Coleoptera start with?
SC.
And then how do you remember Diptera?
They take a dip in your drink.
And what are Diptera? They're,
Flies.
so when they were learning, they taught them all these
Yeah.
ways to remember. So it was really neat to see the way the coaches taught them to remember different classes, the orders and everything of the bugs.
So any other questions for the boys that you have? Thank you, boys, for
Very-
sharing.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
Good luck at state.
Yeah, good luck, man. Good job.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Boris.
They're fourth graders. Fourth graders competing against eighth graders and.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Sorry, yeah, homeschool is a little bit out of school. All right, move on to public comment.
I have a comment. Cause I'm gonna have something to say. I just wanted to share some positive things that have happened, and I just thought this would be a good time to share it with you. So there's an elementary teacher in their IXL growth, they should be right about like +50 for math and English language arts. So we have one teacher, her class is +94 as an average in their math, and a +70 in English language arts. We have another teacher whose math is +76, and her English language arts is +91. And I just thought that was important, and you should know that that is happening, and how wonderful that was. And at the high school, we had a teacher this year who did, I'm going to tell you, it is an absolutely gorgeous poster. But, and I'll just pass it around with you, they offer free math tutoring, 29 days were offered, 29 hours. One child came. They also went to football study tables and helped students there. In November, they had one middle school student, and then there were 2 students that came at 2 different times. So he sought them out and they came. But he helped one kid doing SAT prep with Khan Academy. So I just wanted to, those are things that are happening in the building. So, and that will continue next semester. It will not be 4 days a week because of the lack of attendance. But they had free tutoring was offered for the semester.
Thank you, Carrie.
All right, strategic plan.
Yeah, it's, of our pillars we shared last month on academics. We're wrapping up first semester here and have some, updated data here for our environment. So, we'll start with middle high school here.
So if we focus on this first slide, it is just fall 2025 to date compared to 2024. Each slide following is just a monthly breakdown this year compared to last year. Overall, we're seeing great improvement when comparing fall to fall. And I think this is greatly due to our teachers' dedication right now. They're setting high expectations for our students. And I think that's what we're seeing. They are holding kids accountable inside and outside of the classroom. The trends that we see when we look from month to month, November is a heavier month in each category. Grace, myself, and our staff are working to hold students accountable to help them succeed. We targeted these areas with updates to our student handbook, being more intentional with working with our students on our part. A couple things I want to note of this year's incidents. We have a few transfer students that have come in that are in our district. About 12 students total that are making up 31% of our major incidents and 18.5% of those minor incidents. So I'm keeping that in mind that those are students that are new to us. I think our kids are starting to meet our which is great. And we're hoping that this will result in kids being in class more. They're not getting sent out of class as much. Their attendance is improving. So we're hoping they're in class more, they're learning more, and we're gonna see that work out when we are doing testing. Our attendance averages for August and September were at 97%. October, we had a major drop to 92%, and November is 94.75. In October, we have 2 students specifically that we've been told are transferring to homeschool or online school. But we have no record of that, they're just not coming. So we're doing our part on that piece as far as trying to get documentation, getting in touch, reporting per state guidelines. But since October, these kids have been counted absent every single day. So that is impacting our attendance percentage, but right now, our total average for the year is 95% and the state goal is 94. So with that piece, we're still doing okay, but it's definitely something that we try to target with our specific chronically absent students. Did you want to touch on any of the other things we have going on as far as environmentally and all the fun stuff they're doing, or do you want to?
Yeah, we, in terms of, the holiday spirit, we're getting, it's crunch time for the school. Finals are this week. Last week, our staff did secret dress-up days in holiday theme, and the kids were, on the first day, when we were dressed in crazy Christmas attire, they knew something was up. And we were all just chalking it up to, it's Christmas, like, why can't we wear our Christmas attire? And then the second day, our dress-up day as staff was Santa's Secret Service. And so we were all dressed in black with shades and walkie-talkies. And so it was just fun because the kids were enjoying, what's the staff gonna do every day? And I think when we do those things as staff, it really does bleed into the relationships that we have with the kids, because we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for the kids. And we've had some new staff this year completely buy in. Mr. Bolt, for one, his dress-up days have been fantastic, and the kids really appreciate that. But no, we've been doing a lot of fun stuff. We've got dress-up days that coordinate with the elementary, and kids are really taking to it. We took our kids. I don't want to get into like our, corp report, but they're just doing a lot of fun stuff right now. And it's just like building that rapport, and we're getting to the point, and we're at that point in the semester where kids are done and staff are done. So we're just trying to really push through and keep things positive. And so that's kind of where we're at with environment.
Thank you, Grace. Elementary?
First, looking at our attendance this year, we are still striving to reach that 94%, which is our state goal. You can see that last month, November, was our lowest rate, but we still hit that 94%. I think with it getting colder out, everyone trapped inside, sickness is going around, unfortunately. And then our discipline. So overall, our incidences are still looking good this year. They are still lower than last year. September was our highest, obviously, but it still is lower than last year. If you look at the log entries in September, 14 out of the 20 were from the school bus, were bus incidences that happened on the school bus. And then in October, all 9 of those log entries were also from the school bus. And then we have our outstanding attendance. So students may miss 2 days per 9 weeks and still be considered, they still hit that 94% state average for attendance. So they're considered to have outstanding attendance. So these students receive a brag tag, and then they are placed into a drawing every 9 weeks where they get to win some pretty cool prizes. And then there are 2 winners per grade level. And then the next 3 slides are about our Warrior Way, which are positive student behavior system, and our pack points and our parties. So we actually have our December pack party this Thursday, and our kids are making an ornament and a Christmas wish list on the back of it to take home to parents, and then we'll be eating a Christmas cookie for their snack. And then we have 2 more in March and May to end the school year, which is crazy to think about.
So what's the log entry is what then, on that?
So if, excuse me, if a bus driver has like a written warning or a verbal warning, like they'll send us a bus incident in, and I will log those into on the system. That way they are logged, so then we know if a student has another incident, they've already had a warning, and now it goes to the next
So all
step.
the logs are bus?
Not
related?
necessarily all of them, but those just happen to be, a majority of them were from the bus.
So all the bus driver does is report it.
So-
Does the bus driver have any latitude or discipline?
Yes, so what we do is, they'll first try to give them the verbal warning to talk to them first. And then they will give them a written warning to let the parent know, hey, I have talked to them, and they talk to the parents. And then the drivers can give, if they get a written warning, or not a written warning, but a written,
The third offense.
yeah, the third offense, they will give them a day off of the bus. So the driver, that's what they follow. Once they've given that day off the bus and we're not seeing the behavior change, that's when it comes to admin, and then we step in and we work with the parent to say, you know, the driver's done all of these steps. Your student is now still having difficulty. Obviously, if it's a major incident, that comes straight to us. So like if somebody would harm someone else, that we just skip right to us. But like for those minor, they're not sitting, they're yelling out, you know, those minor incidences that they can, we let them handle those first, yeah.
Any other questions at all? All right, well, thank you very much for the updates.
All right, we can move on to staff reports.
Yeah, I think we can. Few things here in December as we wrap up 2025. It's hard to believe we're here. I think I say that every December, but it gets here quickly on us. A couple of quick items here, and first is I think all of you are well aware, but winter arrived early this year, so came in hard and heavy and cold. Appreciate the maintenance guys getting campus ready. A lot of snow. I think we got 12 inches that first weekend coming out of break. A couple extended days extended day to break there. So we used up both of our makeup days. It's got to be a record on the earliest use of those 2 days. So we will be in session on the 19th of January and on the 16th of February. So keep that in mind. And then moving forward, you know, there was a little bit of scare going into this weekend with temps and weather, and it went south a little bit more than what we thought it would. But any future days, you know, for the current timing will be a live synchronous day. So if all things in order in that regards, if it wouldn't be the case and we were to go no school, you know, we'd be looking at making that day up, or we also have some asynchronous days to use as well. We've got 2 of those days available if we needed it, or we weren't necessarily prepared to be in a live situation. So options, and who knows, it may never snow the rest of the winter, but it looks like we're in maybe for a real winter. We haven't had one in a while. It's been pretty mild. So I know we put him through last month and approved his retirement, but just spent a lot of time this week, you know, putting plans in place to move our transportation department forward, and it reemphasizes. I just want to thank Rich Robbins for, you know, the years that he worked for our district, and so you know, he's going to be missed. I know he's not going to be far in the town of Denver, but he put a lot of years in here as a driver, as our director, just appreciate his time and effort here working for the school district. So, been taking a hard look, probably more so. It's even more challenging when, you know, the money's not necessarily where you want it to be with the Senate Bill 1 impact. I spent time down in Plainfield the week before last listening to a full day finance seminar, and you know, just looking at the impact that Senate Bill 1 is going to have with property tax reform on our district, and it's just a little depressing. But I told Serena, and she was out of town that day, and I showed her reflecting on that. I do come away from those though. The optimist, I guess the positive part of that is I do feel like we've done our homework in preparation on where we're at. You know, a lot of the things they say, hey, these are the things school districts need to be doing, are the things we've been doing with communicating and, you know, looking at our funds and making sure we're understanding the impact on those buckets. And I think that's something maybe we take for granted that goes on all over the place, and it doesn't. So, but with that said, we also got to make sure we are continuing to prepare and plan for that. And so there were some interesting, you know, projections on, there's still some unknown out there, but you know, as we met with our department chairs, as we've met with building level leaders, you know, this summer is going to look a lot different than previous summers. We're going to scale things back, and you know, we bonded some money this past fall, but we're really going to take a little bit of a sit and wait approach here year one, and you know, continue to put ourselves in a position to be fiscally responsible moving forward. So we'll plenty to do, plenty of projects to meet the list, plenty of things we can knock out. I think we joke with Boog that he doesn't know what a normal summer looks around here. We've been getting after a lot of infrastructure projects with doing our energy audit, you know, pretty much the last 6 years. And so we're coming close to culminating those. So it'll be good to have a summer where we're just doing some maintenance and upkeep and things with, you know, waxing floors that haven't been waxed in a little while, those kinds of things that will be helpful. So, you know, we're talking operations. You flip the script to academics. You know, the state is putting out report cards for this school year as we speak, and so we've been putting our heads together, Chris and Danielle, and building level, you know, getting on top of this accountability measures on what's coming our way. You know, you tie that in with the new diplomas that are rolling out with our 9th graders, math remediation requirements for any student that's at risk in math, you know, being placed in a math remediation course. Those are all things that are new going into this coming school year. So, you know, we've got a lot of work, a lot of PD, a lot of meetings with our staff as we go through this spring. So it's going to be a busy spring to get ourselves in gear. And you know, as you heard Carrie say earlier, we've been getting after this fall. It's been a good productive fall. So like where we're at, looking forward to where we're going, but a lot of work to do. And then lastly, as we get to this time of year, I spent a day over the extended Thanksgiving break that Tuesday. We wrapped, I think, 75 pairs of shoes at Rotary with the Shoes That Fit program. So a special thanks to Rotary for supporting our counselors, our staff here. We support dozens and dozens of families here, and just very thankful. But our North Miami family extends that support to our students and their families. And it's just not, you know, those 75 pairs of shoes aren't just North Miami kids. They're our kids' siblings, and it's pretty special. So, yeah, just thankful for what this North Miami family does for this community as well this time of year. So that's all I got. Turn it over to Danielle. We'll go start there and
Sure.
go to middle high school.
So tomorrow is our 4th and 5th grade Christmas program at 1 and at 6. And so if you're not doing anything, please come. They've done a really, really nice job. Mrs. Campbell always does, so I'm excited about that. Bailey said we have a pack party. And then Friday is our Roxy movie day. And so we also, like Carice was saying, we've been doing spirit dress-up days this week. And I'll kind of piggyback off of something. So I had some 5th grade girls come to to my office. They needed to talk to me because they were having a little issue with one another. So I came to find out, and this is when you think, do the things we do really matter, or do they notice? So what had happened is our staff this last week, or last 3 weeks, have been doing a Secret Santa. And so some of the 5th grade girls heard about it and started a Secret Santa because they heard the staff had been doing it. Well, then the others realized they were doing a Secret Santa, so they did one, and they thought they were copying each other when really they all wanted to do it together. So like, it wasn't really a big deal, but for 5th grade girls, it's a big deal. But I think the cool thing about it is that we do things that we don't even realize because, I mean, it's Secret Santa. We don't do it during the day, but it was just really neat to hear the girls say, well, we saw the staff doing this, and now they have the idea as 6th graders, they want to do a Secret Santa for the 6th grade and include everybody, and it was just really kind of a cool thing that you don't really realize all the little things that you do. The kids are really paying attention, and they pick up on what we're doing, and they just thought it would be a fun thing to do. So they're gonna write up now a proposal next year because we're gonna make it a learning opportunity. I said, you should write up a proposal like next November and present it to the teachers and they're all about that. So they're already planning their proposal for next year, and give their reasons why and things. So it's just kind of fun to see that, you know, we're trying to build staff spirit, and then they're just following along with us, which is kind of cool. I did want to share, Winter Wonderland turned out great. We had 366 attend. So that was a fabulous night. The place was packed. And then finally, my last thing is I just wanted to share that in January, Mrs. Calfee is going to be doing PLTW lead teacher training, and I wrote a grant and asked for it's $750, but I asked if PLTW would sponsor that training, and we got the grant to do that. So she's going to be completing that, and basically what that allows is that she can train our entire staff. I'm lead teacher trained, so I do the training for new staff that come on board, but that will allow Caitlin to also be trained, and then she and I can do it together. So that was a positive too. So she'll be lead teacher trained for PLTW by the end of January. That's all I have. 3 more days. And they know it. They're very excited for Christmas. So it's been a good week though. The last couple days have been really great.
At the middle high school, we've been very busy. I can't believe that we only have a couple days left. I feel like every day is a whirlwind. We get to the end of the day and we're like, what all did we do today? What all did we accomplish? How are the kids making it through? Like, we just feel like it's just happening so fast. But our kids are busy. They're very active. I know that we had FFA here, and they just competed at Parley and did extremely well. So congrats to them. Our winter sports are underway. Boys are off to a pretty good start, even though they've got some unlucky circumstances. They're going through some injury and illness with their players, but they're starting off 2-1. Coach Evans took the boys to a Grace College basketball game last Friday, and I think that's a great way for the team to bond. They get to watch a great basketball program, something that's attainable for our kids, just the level that those guys are playing at, but understand that they're ranked like number 1 in their division right now in the nation. So very impressive that, you know, Coach is willing to provide that opportunity for the guys. Girls are getting off to an all right start. Again, they're kind of facing some injuries with their program as well. I think one of our starters is potentially done for the whole season. So, but with them, they're going 4-4. I think we're having to rely on some young girls to really step up, and I think they're going to have a really decent season once they get their footing and adjust to what they need to adjust to. Holiday tournament for basketball is at Connequa this year, so I believe that's the 29th and 30th, that Monday and Tuesday. boys and girls wrestling is getting off to a good start. Watched the girls wrestle at home last night. Went against Faith Christian in Wabash. I just have to give a good shout out to Lindsay Pugh, senior wrestler. She pinned her girl in less than 20 seconds last night, which was really awesome to see. She's a beast. But really impressed with how the girls program is shaping up, with having a new coach really lead that charge too. Student Rotarian for this past month was Hannah Early. She represented us well at Rotary. I got a pair of shoes that didn't make it from the wrapping that had been done, so I got to bring those back to the school for our kids. We sent our kids on our middle school students on the incentive trip last Friday. They went to Crazy Pins in Fort Wayne. So I'm really happy that we didn't get super crazy weather last week. That would put that trip off into this week, which would have been nuts. I think we would have been maybe planning for January. As Kenny had mentioned earlier, with things in the state changing, the legislation, you know, we are seeing the impacts in our building. Just not with, you know, requirements that we have in terms of remediation or state law in terms of, you know, math or anything like that. But the programs that we bring into our schools for our students are seeing impacts too, and they're being limited on what they can do for our kids. We recently had a meeting with our pre-ETS program, and we go through PQC, and they have some new guidelines that lessen the time that they're allowed to meet with our kids, which pre-ETS has been a great program for our special education students. We had Amy speak earlier this year, and she's been able to do a lot of good things with our students, and they were highlighted this past summer when they worked on the Park at Peru, and the mayor was really impressed with the work that they've been doing. And so it's really disheartening to see that some of that funding that is being cut education-wide is going a little bit deeper into just the programs that are being provided for our kids. So I'm hoping somewhere, somehow, we can they can figure it out and we can continue providing these programs. But that's one of the things that I just wanted to bring to your guys' attention is the things that we're really liking for our students. We're seeing some roadblocks, but we'll still continue with pre-ETS. It'll just look a little bit differently moving forward. So, but I'm happy to get through the rest of this semester, and we start finals tomorrow, and hoping for our kids to be healthy and be here and be able to take those, and we'll get on to next semester.
I'll confirm those dates. The 29th and 30th is the holiday tournament. Starts in the morning, in the evenings as well.
Yeah.
We actually have our wrestlers have, I don't think they have a Christmas break. So.
No, we host a really big two-day tournament.
We host the Super 6 on the 23rd. So that's the Tuesday prior to Christmas. Yep. And then we host a 2-day, which is turned into a big tournament, a holiday tournament
huge.
On the 2nd and the 3rd here.
Yeah,
so I think there's 12 teams.
Yeah.
And so a lot of wrestling for our boys program over holiday. So.
Yep, and if they're trying to make weight.
Yeah, it's not fun. No fun. And then January 9th is our annual, I think every individual in the community shows up, but our fish chicken buffet fundraiser at the Winnemac doubleheader. I think there's a girls' boys game that night. So.
That'll be a big night.
It's always a busy night for us.
Oh, and tonight is our Christmas concert for a music program. So that's going on right now. And as I was coming in here, our parking lot over there is already packed, so it's good to see.
Great. All right, thank you. We'll look at the fund monitor report. Serena, if you can shift it.
On the screen is our fund monitoring report for the end of November. We did see some of the revenue we've been waiting on in our education fund. Our fall student count, that money was reconciled, and we were able to get part of the amount that we were behind in getting because of that growth in those students in November, and we'll get the rest of that in December. So first semester we'll have received all the funding for that basic grant part of that calculation. So that definitely helps. I I think when I was kind of looking at this for the education fund at this point, when I looked at our revenue compared to where we were last year, I was kind of looking at this percent down here, and we're about 6% behind. And when I look at our expenditures down here, we're about 5% behind in expenditures. And so, I think we're closing that gap a little bit, which has been our goal. We're still obviously spending a little bit more than we're bringing in, but we're definitely reducing that gap. So I feel like that's a positive for this fund. We're finalizing some stuff in our office this week and are kind of on pins and needles to make sure that we're gonna have enough budget to support the things that we need. We will figure it out one way or another. But next year, I think we got our final budget order, this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But it's gonna be tight next year. We knew that. We don't have the revenue to support, the rate that we were spending this year, which is why we did some reductions this summer. So I think that, we're gonna end up about where we hoped that we would, so that's good news. Our operations fund, we did the temporary loan in here for some cash flow, so it has more revenue than it would have last year just because of that temporary loan. So we'll pay that back by the end of December, and then the courthouse has assured me that by the end of December we'll get final tax settlement. So hopefully, one comes in before the other goes out, but we will manage that either way. And then the debt fund is also waiting on that final payment. So the bulk of our debt payment is, we pay those in June and then again in December. So the end of December, we're gonna have a lot of money going out and some money coming in. So those will, next month we'll be able to look at how those ended. School lunch is getting real close to where we can really kind of look at where we are first semester. I was just kind of looking at this, and when I look at the cash balance, we're real close to the point we were at this point last year. But we didn't do any projects or spend any money intentionally in their fund than we did the year before. So that's the difference, kind of when I look at that. They're still behind some in funding, but we didn't do any updates or upgrades for them. So I think, the increase for school lunch prices for the school year is definitely helping close that gap for us, which was the goal. And when we get to the end of January, we'll be able to look at that one a little bit more. January is just kind of the month, the end of that one, when we can look at that one for that middle point of the year. Haven't had any changes in rainy day, and I think I mentioned it last month, but we did get the rebate from IDEM for removing our underground storage tank. There was a percent part of that, a grant program that we applied for, so we received, I think it was like almost $48,000 back, and that was receipted into the 24 bond. It had to go back to where it was spent from. So that is in here this time, so we've got $100,000 left in that bond. We have some bills still standing out, so the cash will be left in that is that rebate that we just got back. And then we'll be able to look at that with the few projects we look at next year for 26, along with this new bond.
And we're getting E-rate in order. We've got a new cycle, a new 5-year cycle for category 2, trying to line those projects up. Got our Wi-Fi controllers into life. Our access points will be coming up over the next couple of years, and then our switches. So those are big tech projects we just haven't had to deal with in the last couple of years, that 6, 7, 8 years. Just, it's crazy how fast time goes by.
E-rate is,
we're working on that.
It's a program that has to do with telecommunications, and it's a federal program, so it's very regulated and been narrowed down over the years of what we can use it for. But anything that qualifies, which Wi-Fi controllers, our switches, anything that runs the network in the buildings, we can use for that. And I think for us, it's gonna be a 70-30. So they'll pay 70% of the cost of the projects that qualify, and we'll just have to pay 30% of those. And that's based on our free and reduced lunch.
Yeah, we're right on the edge. We're hoping we're 80-20, but we're just
We're on the edge.
So.
So that's a good program. We get so much money spread out over 5 years for that. And so we just kind of break that up a little bit, but we're getting a new 5-year period is starting over, so we're looking at that.
The good news, we know we're out in the country here. We actually got 5 bids when we bid out our fiber for internet. And so for years there was only one. And so it always helps to have some competition. We actually lowered our price a little bit for the same amount of gigabyte usage we're bringing in fiber with Comcast, with Zoya, I guess is what it is. So, but it was promising to get some other competitors, so that's good news moving forward down the road. So, and then lastly, we did finalize this week our special ed count for the December 1 count. So we actually saw an increase of 4 to 149, and so that locks in a lot of the federal funding for that, for our co-op and federal B monies and so on, so.
So they'll run some calculations for us. I think I ought to be able to see that in the next couple weeks of exactly what categories those kiddos fall into compared to last year and be able to look at the financial part of that, but.
Yeah, and a lot of our new enrollments we had a high percentage of IEPs come in as well, so that was where those increases are coming from, so. Any questions then on the fund running report?
No old business?
None, no.
Okay, all right, we can move on to personnel, with, looks like, resignations, terminations,
Yeah, we do have one on there.
okay. Is that a resignation?
No, be a termination for food service.
Termination for
Yep.
food service for Yannell Dorn, middle school, high school.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Finnegan, second by Mr. Hudson. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Looks like the next is for higher recommendations for academic, for Jordan Correct, volunteer wrestling coach, and Adam Miller, volunteer track and field.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Finnegan, second by Jeff. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. And then, moving on to business, updated 2025-26 school calendar.
Yeah, and I'll cover A and B here both. So, the state sent out a memo statewide and sent one to us specifically, and they, I think they've always stated this, but it was never really formally enforced, but expectation moving forward, our schools are actually physically in session on count day. And our calendar, ironically, our day we chose for PD in February fell on that February 2nd count day. Never even crossed our path when we were putting these calendars together. So we didn't think we wanted to buck the DOE and that funding count day, so we were gonna oblige, and we threw it around with the association and just decided we are going to bump that day back both of those years a week. So the day that would have been February 2nd is moved to February 9th, which we didn't realize though does fall after the Super Bowl. So it probably isn't a bad Monday for some kids to be out of here anyways, but that's what the change is, and we're just taking care of it for both the upcoming calendar years, so.
Okay. Take a motion for the 2025-2026 school calendar.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Finnegan. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We'll take a motion for the 2026-2027 calendar.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Finnegan, second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And then it looks like we have 2026 renewal summary. Approval for proposed 2026 property liability, fleet, cyber, and workers' compensation insurance renewal with McGriff as our broker for the total cost of $116,073.
Yeah, I still met with them last week, and you just never quite know what you're gonna get with insurance. We actually had a decrease in cyber liability and workman's comp, the estimate, which was surprising. But other than Old Republic, if you see there is excess liability, there's a significant increase. That category previously, we changed, right, on that.
So Great America had been our carrier for that, and they decided this year that they just didn't want to write that particular kind of policy. Didn't have anything to do with us. They dropped all of the extra umbrella coverage that they had statewide, I don't even know, maybe multi-state. So that didn't have anything to do with us, but then they had to go find another company. Old Republic is almost as well rated as they are. They're a great company, but that price did go up, and that was the largest
So
change.
outside of that category, everything else was just a little bit here across the board to get that increase. If you look at the bottom, we're looking at a little over $9,000 up for an increase here for all of our insurance coverage for 26-27.
So how many different companies did you talk to or look at for the various policies?
So McGriff is our broker, and who we work with on shopping that out, and we've looked at that, we made that broker change a couple years ago when we were with Henriot, you know, and they're that middleman, Dave, of shopping those out for those insurance policies. So Astra's been our underwriter. It's getting to be a real, I would say, non-competitive market. I mean, I know some schools recently that didn't have anybody bid. I mean, you can put ourselves, so we obviously wanna make sure we're doing our due diligence to be insurable, which we have, but, I think that conversation is who we wanna look at as a broker, and, you know, our current situation, Dave, is with McGriff, when we made that change, they went through some significant changes very shortly after that, so that's something we could look at, I think, after this year again. And, you know, then they go out and get, you know, those bids of what those best rates are for all of those categories, so.
Wasn't there a time we was involved in a consortium?
Yeah, they reach out to us every year as well, and that would be kind of that broker conversation of whether we go with a broker or join S-Craft would be that.
Well, these insurance companies are struggling. I mean,
Yeah, and we are in a consortium for workman's comp.
they canceled all my barns over 15 years old. And I had to struggle to find somebody that could replace it. It's just like that.
And
50
they do try to do some bidding each
45
year, there
years
just
I've
aren't
been
many
in.
that are interested anymore.
Hardly any claims, just like that.
I know Astra is who, you know, Great American, and their hail damage is one that's always, they're threatening over our head, you know, they'll refuse to, or put a huge deductible on it, and, you know, those are things you see happen that come into play, but, that replacement cost is also something we always, you know, we're relying on them to guide us in that direction, but the one thing that's been nice with the Griff, or even with Astra, is, you know, we'll bring Astra in here this next semester and do training with our bus drivers. They've done some training, other training for us in the past. They've done walk-arounds, you know, for our facilities, and, they've been good to work with in that capacity, so.
So how long have we been with McGriff?
This is year 3, not 2, we were with Kelly Kitchell and Henriot my first
At least 3,
several
if
years,
not 4.
so.
Has their fee stayed the same, or it's always been 13 grand?
And it was the broker before that as well, and we were with Henriot, I wanna say 5 or 6 years, and that's been steady.
What's inland marine?
So it's equipment that we own in-house, so like, radio equipment, AV, or any kind of technology equipment, and like music speakers, sound equipment type things. Band uniforms, I think, fall into that. It's kind of a weird catch-all, and I don't know why they call it inland marine.
What's the deductible?
10,000.
How much?
10,000.
And this is about it's typically, this is page 16 of, how large was it this year, Serena? It's usually a 70-page document, and we can send it your way if you wanna, Scott, but it's those were the changes from last year, and, that replacement value is usually the biggest driver in the deductible, so.
Any other questions? Take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Working, second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
It'd be nice if you didn't use it, you got your money back.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for
We
sure.
got earthquake.
For donations, we recommend the approval of the following donations. Mexico Riverside Church for 500, Food Service Department Angel Fund, James and Tyra Walker, 200 athletics donation, Jennifer Kiefer, 500 guidance Christmas sponsor, Jeremy Gallion, 655.13 for the drama microphone replacement, Joe DeRozier, 300 for the Warrior Pep Club, Lori Working, 100 girls basketball, and then Gold Crown fundraising for $2,988 for girls basketball and $7,412 for football.
I would add on the Walker donation for athletics, that was in recognition of Tim DuBois.
Okay. Take a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Floyd, second by Mr. Finnegan. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. Any fundraisers? All right,
future meeting dates? When is our next meeting?
I think it's January 16th. It's that third Monday in January.
Okay.
And that'll be, as usual, that'll be a I'll call it realignment, but it's, I'll share a memo. They did put some updates out on that process too, so.
Okay. Great, we can move on to school board member and superintendent comments.
Me? Made it this far, so good job, keep it up. Not hearing anything negative out there, so sounds like you guys are all doing a great job. Enjoy your break.
Great job. You know, I feel like I'm the board member that the kids come to the most, and the complaints about the phones are like going down, you know? It's getting better.
It'll settle, and the legislation's gonna drop the hammer again here, so.
No, it's going good. And
Give them a boot out of the entire county, I think, so.
yeah, no, I'm proud of us, proud of you guys. I can't believe that we're halfway through the year. So, yeah.
I will, January 20th is our next board meeting date, so.
Yeah, I don't have much. I can't believe it's, 3 days till Christmas break. I know you guys probably can, but, I really enjoy seeing the two little guys, Horace and, is it Jeremiah?
Jeremiah.
You know, to come in here as fourth graders and talk like that, I would never have done that, ever. So kudos to them.
It's a little scary to think where they'll be. I mean, we already excel at the high school level, and they've got a head start that others haven't even had,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, and Horace can sometimes be kind of shy, and that's kind of.
He did really,
You did really
I
good,
know.
yeah.
Like, just watch me.
Yeah, he didn't look over here, he, good for them. Good for them.
And we did have, I will add, we did have Cubby Hunt and Shane Briscoe, who had done the soils as sixth graders too, but then Jeremiah and Horace went on with the entomology. So we're building some really great, Jim's doing a great job bringing them in.
And I bet the high school kids love, you know, I'd like to see that interaction.
I
because
would
bet it's great.
too. I bet that's fun.
Yeah.
He kinda stole my story, but, I wished I could have been involved at that age. I didn't really get, I'm tongue-tied till I hit the school board, but anyway, no, that's impressive. Those kids, we'll be, keeps on, if Jim keeps on, we'll be taking kindergarten kids to Oklahoma.
Outperforming eighth graders.
Wiping noses and rolling dirt.
Thanks for the meal, and, wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it's really encouraging seeing the environment reports. You guys are doing all the right things, it looks like, so thank you for that. And, enjoy the next 3 days and enjoy your break while the rest of us work.
Tolerate the
Darn.
next 3 days
I
and
feel so
enjoy
bad
the
for you.
break.
All right, take one more motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Finnegan, second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor? Motion carries.